Good morning. Say good morning, Frankie. Oh. We didn't get enough loving this morning, but we went outside. Oh, it was so cold. It was so cold. Well, come here. Come here. Come here. Come. He looks at me like I'm supposed to do all the work. Come here. Come. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. What's the matter? What you been all moody for? Because when we come inside, I'm starting to train him. I should have done this a long time ago, but most of the year it's not that problem. When I had my first dog in Portland, Oregon area, I trained Gordy to stay on the rug and to lay down as soon as we got in, so I could wipe him down to dry him off. But it's not like that here very much. So I wish I had my headband. Oh, do I even have one in here? I have this old one. Janet would appreciate this one. It is metal. I like it. My hair is just nicely conditioned. And I will be taking a long hot bath today. So it'll give me some time to think about whether I want to enjoy the braid. I used to braid my hair, especially at night, to keep it from tangling, but my hair's is a much softer condition than it used to be when I was younger. But I'm not doing near as much to it as I used to. I used to get so tangled at night that brushing it in the morning was a big deal, so I would braid it. Put it in a headband or just swoop it to the side and braid it. But I enjoyed it because I also, when I would ride my motorcycle, would keep it from tangling very much. I liked the side braid. But I don't braid it that often because I just feel like I've never had a real thick hair. What? But now that it's not frizzy and dry, it doesn't make a very thick braid at all. So I don't know. What is that, baby? Okay, so yesterday I read the 19th. Today is the 19th, so sorry about that. My apologies. The ninth principle in your action plan is take steps. Always aim for a goal that excites you but doesn't frighten you. Then when you reach that goal, start the process all over again until you reach your ultimate goal. Setting goals is easy for most people. We're such all or nothing people that in the first wave of enthusiasm, we decide to do everything right now. We're fine until problems make us stumble. Then depression sets in and we relapse. This is a scene most of us have enacted again and again. Who created this scene? you did by setting unrealistic goals. Instead, aim first for an attainable goal. Stop there and say, well done. Then start again. Today, set reasonable priorities, well thought out in advance. You'll be thrilled by achieving your first goal. Okay, so I changed the words just enough so it wasn't just about weight loss. You know, if you were basically tortured emotionally when you were a kid and were taught to believe that you weren't worthy, that you couldn't do anything right, in some way or another, the self-esteem, the self-confidence that it takes to get a job done, whether it's with an employer or at home, organizing your closet, can seem super intimidating. Some people do really well at a job interview and then work super, super, super hard for about 4 months. That's about the cutoff date. Sometimes it's sooner or later, but humans have a hard time faking much longer than 4 months. And what happens is, very often, this is what happened to me, is I would come in like a wrecking ball and work balls to the walls. Half the people would be so impressed that they were like, oh, we're going to have to give that girl a raise, blah, blah, blah. She's amazing. She's saving my life. Oh, it's just a big deal about how intuitive I am about getting things done. And I'm such a good emotional support system. This is as a teenager. But then within a short time, some of the people, about 25% of people, were like, but you're missing boundaries. You're doing too much. And you're making us look bad. You're stepping on everybody's toes. And the other 25% were waiting for me to just burn out. But usually what happened was, about that 4-month mark, I started feeling like a victim. Look at all this work I'm doing. And then I'm worried about what this clique thought of me, and that clique thought of me, and that clique thought of me. Then that's where all my energy is going. And so I'm performing at about everybody else's normal pace, but my half pace. So now they're expecting higher performance out of me and critiquing me on interviews at my old pace. Yeah, it took me a while to figure out that was an actual pattern that I had. And what was remarkable is I found out I wasn't the only one. But this is a thing. It's codependent behavior. I'll tell you, it has been a ride curing my own complicated childhood PTSD and helping others with theirs. It's been a very exciting ride. Frankie, leave the shoes alone. Oh, my nose. I guess I'll have to break down and take an allergy pill. So here's how tricky it is. So when a child has a dysfunctional parent and the parent is needy and also not around much for whatever reason, either physically or emotionally. So sometimes they're really needy and sometimes there's no interaction. And the whole time, if you try too hard, Or when you don't try hard enough when they're needy, you get in trouble. And if you try too hard to connect when they're disconnected, you get in trouble. Right? So at some point, I'll give you an example. So my mother, oh, I see your tail. I see your tail. My mother was an alcoholic, and she I'm looking for some foundation. I just want to put a little bit on. I'm gonna mix it with some moisturizer. So I have a few things I need to finish up today so I can really relax and enjoy my bathtub. So she would come home on occasion. I usually live by myself out in the country. So she would come home after days of being gone, occasionally weeks. Cupboards would be empty or almost empty. And she would crash from exhaustion and a broken heart on the sofa. This is a memory. Sometimes she was in bed. But I remember this one particular day because this is PTSD for you. I remember I was just learning about dust particles in sunbeams. If you watch sunbeams, you can, in just the right lighting, you can see particles just from the air, from pollution, we lived out in the farm, so if someone was plowing or tilling or anything, or if it's windy, it's stirring up dust outside. Now, my job was to keep that house spick and span, and I did. But I was just learning that this amazing thing happened with sunbeams. And she's laying there on the sofa with these sunbeams coming. And it just looked like, like, oh, well, how do I want to say it? Like a spiritual experience. That she was my angel, that I had to take care of her hangover, her migraine, her itching palms, her tearful mood, her depression. And she would say, basically, nobody loves me. And I'm going to die alone. What's wrong with me? Questioning everything about her existence, as depressed people do. And I, being in third grade maybe, was trying to reassure her that everything was going to be all right. That I loved her no matter what. That she would never be alone because I would always be with her. And yeah, I'm looking for a blush. I used to have one. Well, I don't know now. Did I use this for blush or this for blush? Looks like I used this for blush. Okay. So it was inconsolable, really, for her to feel loved, comforted by this little girl. I'm not alone. Yes, dear?
Why are you putting that on if you're going to take his bath?
Just in case somebody accidentally stops by. I don't... And I want to finish the laundry and organizing my office before I get in the tub. So anyway, think of the twisted thinking of the child.
Molly, every morning now, she's sitting right there.
Well, maybe we'll keep that bed. I just think...
Or any bed there, but it is, I like the smaller because it's less likely for me to trip.
All right. Well...
I mean, if the other one ain't much bigger, but I don't know, I'd have to look.
Well, I think maybe we'll just keep the ones we have.
Were you able to sand your deal like you wanted?
Yeah. Oh, is this an extra?
Yeah.
Can I have it?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I'm going to keep it. I don't know what I want it for, but I want it. Okay, so you have this little kid who's trying so hard to hear, you're enough, you're enough. You'll always be enough. You've always been enough. And also, this is where it gets kind of twisted. It gets exhausting for some kids who think, why isn't she loving me back? Why isn't she loving me back? And at some point, you know, even a little kid wants to give up, wants to say, hey, this isn't working. Why don't I stop saying these things to her because she's not reciprocating? Humans know at a young age, you know, once they learn how to share their toys, the other person's supposed to share their toys as well. So when you get into other relationships or friendships, especially a marriage, you know you're supposed to share. You're supposed to give and take. Well, then what happens, and this is kind of where it gets tricky. What happens is the kid figures out, and I did, that if I quit massaging her hands or quit massaging her feet or quit massaging her scalp, and if I quit saying the loving things to help her feel comforted enough to fall asleep so she could recuperate and go back out and do it again, there would be hell to pay. It's like a hostage situation. I call it soft hostage. Kind of like they used to call it date rape, where she was afraid to say no. It's sort of that same thing. Sort of the same thing. You're afraid to say no. You're afraid to say anything that they might be against. So it sets up pretty twisted thinking for a kid. It sets up a particularly weird set of rules for love. And when you have those particular tracks of communication set up in your brain at such a young age, then it's difficult even for a therapist. The client can very often make it sound like they're doing so much better. Excuse me. And not really be doing better. They just want someone to see them as better. That's why you have to be very careful not to get overprotective of your relationship with your client. You have to remember that if you're going to help them, even though they deserve love and they deserve a parent figure or a knight in shining armor or someone to protect them, you are preventing them from ever getting to a point in their life where they can have and trust reciprocity in love. Because most of the time, a counselor cannot give that client the kind of love that they want or need. If they start an affair, well, you're going to get caught ruining your reputation. If you leave your relationship or you're not in one and you get involved, that person, you have just set that person up again to possibly feel like a hostage. So you got to be careful. That's all I'm saying. You just got to be careful. That's all. Just be careful. Don't get involved with your clients if you're a counselor. People really shouldn't get involved with people they work with, period, in my book. There used to be lots of rules against that, but not anymore. Just seems like people are just all willy-nilly these days. Okay. So think about that. If you're in a relationship with someone and they just don't seem very stable, it just seems like they're all over the place sometimes. It could be because of, those neural pathways in their brain that's trying to say everything should be okay, but it isn't. I don't know. Oh, I see what's going on. This isn't just white. It has micro sparkles in it. That's what's freaking me out. I'm like, where? Oh. Well, Mama don't use that. Oh, well. It'll come off in the bathtub. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't use sparkles. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to put on mascara because I'm going to go wash my face. As soon as I get my chores done, I'm going to do a facial massage with some grapeseed oil. Okay, so I'm telling you, there's hope for these people who have these mixed, I'm trying to convince you I love you and then be afraid to love you because they're afraid you're going to hurt them. And sometimes they'll run because of the underlying paranoia that you might actually starve them to death in their mind's eye, kill them. So they have to be ready and protect what's theirs and maybe pack up and leave. So no food in the house. You know you better soothe or you'll be punished. You better foresee their needs, but it'll never be enough. You'll be resented, called names for being the little mother or the little man of the house. It can really mess up your head. And that's why you'll meet some people, or you'll realize how unpredictable you are in relationships. You know, it takes a lot to find somebody who's willing to stay, but you have to convince them that you're working hard at staying. Just know that I'm here for you. Email or leave a message. I'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation. Hope all is well. Special shout out to Plum. Thanks for getting me off my butt. And ABF, I'm glad you're around. All right, y'all take care. Bye for now.